Welcome to our second video. My name is Dan Butler, and in the remaining videos, I'll discuss the basic information that you will need to design an experiment. Creating a proposal with this information will help our research team more effectively work with you. Here's an overview of the information you will want to include in a proposal. Today, we'll talk about identifying a question to study. This includes specifying the outcome for the study and the intervention that you want to test. In the next video, we'll talk more about the second and third points. It is important to address those points because it allows us to evaluate whether an experiment is likely to be informative. While randomized control trials are the gold standard for evaluations, they are not well suited for every question. The background information we get from answering these questions can help us assess the feasibility of a potential study. So what makes for a good question? First, for a question to be amenable to an experiment, you need a measurable outcome. In doing so, avoid broad generalizations. For example, if we wanted citizens to be more involved, simply saying community involvement may be too broad. Instead, you might focus specifically on an outcome that you can measure. Do citizens participate in local elections? Or volunteer for town committees and boards? Second, the intervention should be clear. An intervention is the program or policy that you are going to implement to change the outcome. An intervention can be something tangible, such as a financial incentive, or even something as simple as the wording in the appeals you use. In identifying an intervention, it is important to choose one that you can carry out. In other words, choose an intervention that is feasible for you to implement. When working with a new group, one of the first questions we ask is whether the group has authority to administer the intervention. If not, do they have permission from the person who does have the authority? You don't want to invest significant time into a project that will never receive a green light. When you have identified a measurable outcome and the intervention, you can use the following formula to state the question. Does the intervention change the outcome? So, for example, does providing appliance rebates change the amount of electricity that citizens use? Does encouraging local governments to collaborate for grants in one area lead them to collaborate more often in other areas? Does offering volunteer civic courses increase the civic involvement of recent immigrants? Finally, in addition to these technical points, a good question needs to be interesting to you. This cannot just be an academic experience. Running these studies takes effort and time. You are going to be much more likely to follow through when you care about learning the answer. In summary then, you can start developing your proposal by answering the following questions. What is the outcome or outcomes of the study? What are the intervention or interventions of the study? Do you have permission to implement this intervention? If not, who does? In the next lecture, we'll talk more about what else goes into the proposal.